This is Confidential Conversations. Today we have Veecock with us. Also Van the Man, artist name, producer, future audio post connoisseur, composer in the making. This is like the worst thing. I'm so sorry.
That was nice.
Teaching me how to do that. I'm working on it.
Yeah. That was fantastic.
Yeah, it's gonna happen. It's gonna be fine. Your presence online is high quality. Like, you have high quality presence online.
I appreciate that.
Yeah, your website looks great. When I look up Van the Man, your website comes up, your YouTube, your Facebook page comes up.
Gracious, you really did your research.
No, seriously though, like, your stuff comes up first.
I appreciate that.
So I know you're using those keywords. You got the SEO down or something.
It was definitely more of a presence a while ago. Since I've started school, I've kind of taken a lot of things down and just kind of been a little bit more chill. But with releasing music, I really wanted to have the online presence.
You look at a lot of emerging artists, a lot of independent artists that are doing their own thing. Your stuff is like, there's a quality about your stuff.
I appreciate that. I mean, I've always been making music since I was like 14, and I always wanted to release it. And then just continually doing that, doing shows and all that kind of thing. And then my mom is like, bro, no one's going to see this if you're in this small town. And so I was like, okay, I gotta make an Instagram page. I have to get a website and all that kind of thing, which was great because then I was able to like do a little bit of merch on the website.
Yeah,
and
I
stuff,
saw the merch. That's sick.
Yeah, it's.
How are you doing merch independently?
I have like a Squarespace type of thing, but I also have in my city there's like this distributor named Renegade Apparel.
Okay.
And I'm tight with those guys, and they have this whole little like shop where they make stuff. So they cut me a little slack, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Connections, it's important.
Exactly. And I do all the designs for it, and then they just like get all the printing done and all that thing, and then I bring it to shows and do all that kind of thing.
That's nice. That's sweet.
You
have it all together.
That's the way.
You also used to promote and put together shows yourself.
Yes.
How did you get into that?
So many shows. Basically started off with I started performing because I've got my own music and I wanted to just let people know that I've got it. And so I started being on other people's bills. Like, that's the first way to get into shows. It's just being on other people's bills. So I'd start making friends with people in music and just be like, oh my gosh, like, you're so cool. Can I like get on your show? And like, I would do that for a while, and then I realized like you might make $20 doing that.
Yeah.
And so I was
being
like,
on someone's bill, you mean?
Exactly. So I was like, I wonder if I could have the brains to put this together myself. And doing that, you make a lot more money. Yeah.
Okay, so what does that look like? What do you mean putting it together yourself?
As in, you find a venue.
Yeah.
You find artists. You advertise for it, if that's like making posters, doing Facebook ads, all that type of thing.
Yeah.
And then, you do all the stuff, the lead up for it, and then you charge tickets. You have someone who can run the door, someone who can run merch and all that kind of thing. And then you also make agreements with the bands, like, okay, you're going to make this cut from it and all that thing. And if you do your cards right, you can get a lot of people coming out, paying tickets and paying everybody else,
Do you do a percentage-based cut to the artists and shows like that? Because they're not like, it's not like Budweiser or whatever, like doing a huge event.
It's usually percentage.
Yeah.
I've done it where it's not like that, but I usually do percentage. It's like, hey, are you okay with like this kind of cut of it? Sometimes it's more eyeballed, like, okay, like there's this many bands, we need to split it up like this, and maybe give yourself the slightest bit extra. But for the most part, it's
pretty like
self-explanatory
kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah. When you're promoting, where did you find the most success?
As like ways to market?
Yeah, when you're marketing your shows.
I'd say having posters is key. Putting that in like areas where people walk by, as well as Facebook ads work better than you think they do. You know what I mean? Like, people will be like, oh, I was on Instagram and I saw your thing. And so
like Meta, like it go post to both.
Yeah. That's really key. Though I wouldn't pour all of your resources into it, because it's decent. It's decent, but it's some people also will see that on Instagram and be like, I hate this because I hate things on my feed,
that are like sponsored or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Exactly. Okay. You walk that fine line of sponsoring and
you gotta be kind of fun with it.
Yeah.
The key.
Not too corporate.
Exactly. Like the key is having something that's like, it looks like, oh, this is kind of fun. Like this guy
He's
knows
like
what I'm
fucking
going.
around.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. This is very helpful to me personally, who is trying to market the show that we're putting on in the third term.
Oh, it's going to be awesome.
I'm very excited. And with these venues, I don't know what it was like for you, but they're wanting to make a certain amount at the bar. Or like on a Friday night, they're like, you need to sell $5,000 at the bar. And if you don't, then you make up for the difference.
$5,000 at the bar?
Yeah, on a Friday.
Girly.
It's a Friday.
I mean, it is a Friday.
Yeah.
5,000 at the bar is like you got
That's
some
hefty.
people. You gotta get some people showing up. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy.
Yeah, I think it's less different days of the week. Maybe like
That's
2,000 on a Wednesday, Thursday, or something.
See, I'm coming from a small town. It's like, you know,
Pretty
they got way more chill expectations for bar.
Yeah. What are you gonna do now? Are you gonna do that again here in Toronto?
Yeah, my friend Vito and I are trying to put a show together right now.
Oh, that's cool.
You know it. Like we're looking for artists right now. If you're an artist and you're looking for a cool show and you want to make some moolah and also you're decent, hit me up.
What's the vibe? What's
not
the genre?
Not exactly rap, not exactly indie rock,
Okay.
but something that kind of blends. I love new sounds. I love just really tight bands.
Yeah.
Sometimes I feel like when you have too many rappers on a show, it can get a little bit like you. I've had shows
The
where
energy
it's
is
exactly.
too constant, kind of.
I've had shows maybe
not
like 10
dynamic.
rappers in a row,
Yeah.
or maybe more, and it's just like you got to have fantastic MCs for it to be like that's awesome.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I get that.
But I think one of the keys to having a great live show is having a couple variations, like, you know, having like a band that has, I don't know, live instruments is really cool. It really brings the energy. A lot of people love to just like wild out to that type of thing.
Wild out.
Yes, it's the key.
So it sounds like when you're putting together a live show, it's a lot more than just booking a venue, making posters, doing the show. Do you know what I mean? Like there's a lot more behind the scenes. Than,
Definitely.
You know?
Definitely. And there's also lots of personality behind them. As in, especially when you're working with artists.
Yeah.
Artists are a tricky little handbag of characters.
Yeah.
So are managers. Managers can be messed up sometimes.
Yeah.
They're like, those are the first people to be like, why do I have to pay you? Kind of thing. You know what I'm saying? So they can be a little silly.
Like, why do you get a cut of the show kind of thing? Well, you're putting on the show. They wouldn't have a show if you didn't do all the work.
If you're running your own show, if you're showing up to someone else's show, there can be very money wise, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
But setting up your own show is great. It's
do you mean showing up as a support to an act?
showing up to a support it can be tough, like
to get paid? That's messed up.
Sometimes. Oh my gosh, yeah.
That's messed up.
But anywho.
Yeah. You're like on words.
Having a conversation ahead of time with the artist, being like even in the reach out to them, being like, hey, I really like your stuff. I've checked you out on Spotify.
Yeah.
I like your social media presence. Like, we're going to run the show. We're thinking of having this kind of attendance for it at this location. We're going to give you this kind of split of it. Are you interested? And maybe they're going to be like, no, I'm out in Nova Scotia, like having a bar mitzvah. And you're like, okay. But if it's someone who's nearby, you know, it usually works out.
Have you gotten sponsors or worked with that kind of thing while you're doing your shows?
I have.
How did you went about that?
It's just about, I guess, knowing friends who have money. But I think if you're really passionate about what you're doing and you're outspoken about it, that you're bound to. Let's say you're at a dinner conversation with someone who happens to be a little bit fancier, you know, or even reaching out, like doing like going to like, I don't know, asking a company or whatever and be like, hey, we're doing this. We can put your merch up and all that type of thing. I was lucky enough that I had a family friend who was really into what I was doing and helped sponsor the show, which was really cool. But I think as long as you're really confident about it and you're like, this is going to be awesome. I'm going to have this kind of turnout. I'm going to be able to do this. It's super exciting. Would you be down to help me out with even like $200 or something like that? I don't know. Like that kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah. We're doing tiers for ours right now where they're shouting out on stage or whatever. Like they can pay for us to be like thank you to Budweiser for sponsoring our show tonight, you know, like, or putting a banner on the stage or something.
That's a great idea.
You know? Yeah.
One time to market a show, I would go around. I had like questions to ask people, and I find like random people on the streets, like kids or that sounds weird, but like a cool group of kids or something like that, or like I'd go to the skate park and like find someone who's like clearly high off his ass and then interview him, and like it'd make it like a really funny like little thing, you know what I'm saying?
Like you're not fearful for your life.
I mean, like people are wonderful, you know what I'm saying?
Social anxiety, you're not having any of that.
I spent some time in Australia where I was like working as a marketer, and so like I've seen some shit. If you start marketing at least a month beforehand, and
I'm aiming for 2. So I'm scared.
Oh, a month and a half. Yeah. If you start really putting the pedal to the metal, like you're printing off posters, putting them up, and actually putting them up in like places that people go to. Yeah. You're doing Facebook ads.
That's the secret though, where people go. You know what I mean?
Bus stops. They like places where people congregate, near a cafe, or like phone poles. I don't know how illegal that is in Toronto.
It's not. I think you can get in trouble. But I don't. I think I'll just be like, I'm just a girl.
sometimes it's worth getting in a little trouble to
sell tickets.
You know what I'm saying?
You know?
The police better not be watching Instagram right now.
You're putting on a show here in Toronto. Yeah. What are you doing for venues? Like, how are you planning this in Toronto? It's crazy. It's not the same as Peterborough. No,
we haven't done all the details for it yet, but I've got a huge list of venues. I've got a huge list of artists, bigger list of artists actually than venues, but got a big Excel spreadsheet with just all the different names of stuff. And
like you're the planning guy.
Yeah, and just reaching out to each and every one. The biggest thing with bars, try to find one where they don't make you pay like $400 just for being there. Some smaller venues, like this is not where you're making the crazy money, but I mean some smaller venues, especially in like smaller towns, do it for free.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah, and they know that you're going to be bringing people in, so they're like, oh,
sure,
you know, like you're bringing money to the bar anyways.
Yeah.
But yeah, definitely try to find somewhere that's not expensive to book.
Back to your website and stuff, your show, even when you're on stage, there's some pictures of you performing, and they look like a nice camera. Like it looks like someone knew how to take pictures when they were.
Totally.
You know.
I hired a photographer once or twice.
Really?
You know what I mean? Like that was like I think I was doing some singles at the time, so I was like I really wanted a cool photo. So there's this one photographer named Jacob Scriver. He's a skateboard photographer / tattoo artist. One of the coolest guys I know.
That's cool.
And I hit him up and I was like, yo, could you please take some photos at one of my shows? He did it, and that ended up being the cover art for one of my songs called Talkin', and it's one of the coolest photos.
I feel like that's kind of the thing too, is that we talked about it in our marketing class last term, and he was like, stop having your girlfriends and boyfriends take footage on their iPhones from this crowd. They're like, and putting that on your website or putting that wherever. Like it actually, like looking at your shit, I'm like, Van must have done stuff.
I appreciate it.
Do you know what I'm saying?
It all depends on what you're doing. Like if you're doing like an Instagram post and you're like, all right, I think if you're going to have a professional Instagram page, you need to have a few photos in there that are like, oh, damn.
Yeah.
That's like exciting.
Well, and you said you're into photography yourself.
Oh yeah, I love photography.
So you know the lighting situation and the.
I'm like I dabble in it. But a lot of my friends around me are like legitimate like professional photographers. Like my boy Joffrey LeBranche and people like that. Like they're really into photography.
Like you have a network essentially.
A huge network of just friends who are artists and just that type of thing, and that just comes from hanging out in artistic places. You know what I mean?
Do you do like exchange of value sort of deals?
For the most part, it depends on how like close we are. Like I'm saying, if it's like a friend who we're hanging out all the time and stuff like that, he'll be like, bro, let me take some photos for you. Yeah. If it's someone who I've heard of through the grapevine and they're like a fantastic photographer, I'm like, hey, what's your prices like? Also, you know, I'm friends with your friends, so like, you know.
Yeah.
But
networking.
Absolutely, networking is humongous in music.
Yeah,
humongous.
I feel like it's actually the most important thing.
Networking is making more friends. Well, you don't even have to always get something from them. Like if you find a cool ass photographer and you're like, damn, bro, your things are really cool. Like, or are you going to an event or something like that? Oh, you're going to that event? I kind of want to go to an event like that. You know what I'm saying? Like,
exactly.
Like situations that you can find yourself in. A big thing is also like going to shows, or even when you create a show or star in a show kind of thing. Like, get everyone's names. Like, meet the bands.
Yeah.
Try to really remember people. Like, get their Instagram handles and be like, oh my gosh, you're from this band. Oh. You know what I mean? And then later on, you might bump into them at the supermarket and be like, oh my gosh, like, cool. Are you doing a show soon? And then that's how new opportunities come up. Open mics are a strange place.
Super strange.
They're such a strange place.
Yeah.
I love it in how strange and cliquey and it
Yeah.
is.
Are you into open mics? Is that something you do?
I've done so many open mics.
Yeah?
I've done so many open mics, and there's so many
I can see you up
different
there
crowds.
like being the show. I
Oh,
can see
you're
that
too
for you.
bad.
I'm
You're too
serious.
bad.
Yeah, I can see you up there.
Man,
Big personality.
I've met like the people who were like acoustic guitar guys. I've met Toronto mans who wear like puffer jackets and like type of thing, and like everyone like punk rockers who were just high. Like,
yeah,
it's a huge mix. It's a huge mix.
Are you going to them here much? You're super busy, I assume.
Since I started school, recently I've just been experimenting a lot and try to get into
like making new sound.
What the next phase is going to be for me, because
I was just gonna say, you're thinking about going into audio post for some things. What's the next step for you?
My goal in life is to drop an album every 2.5 years that features my voice prominently and tells my story at the same time as I am a voiceover recordist for post engineering.
Wow.
So that's like a steady job type of thing. At the same time as I want to do scoring for movie/indie video games. I know that sounds like a crazy combination of things, but I think an everyday thing would be showing up to a studio and just dealing with gear and people. And my creative more
sounds like the dream.
Yeah, that's what I would love to do.
Yeah. Yeah, that sounds like the dream. I feel like now in the music industry everybody has more than one job.
Yes, totally.
Yeah.
I just really love being around gear. I love making things, and I'm really a nerd about studio equipment and microphones and all that kind of thing. Really?
Yeah.
Really. The number one thing about being an artist that sucks is try not to put on too many hats.
Yeah.
Because everyone knows that it's really hard to gather people and people who are willing to help you.
Yeah.
And so they start putting on the, okay, I got to be the social media manager, and I got to be the person who, does all that type of stuff. And they start gathering all this stuff, and then you stop making music because it just becomes this whole marketing scheme that you're running yourself. I fell into that trap for a while.
Yeah.
Where I was like, I realized I hadn't made music in something like 2 months or something, because I'd just been doing all this marketing stuff, and it's like, oh my gosh,
it's all consuming.
Delegating. There's this very fine balance between riding the wave of the algorithm and living your life. There's this rapper who I'm a big fan of. Him and we've done a bunch of shows together and a song together. His name's Forrest Gumption. And he's very much like a social media, I'm a delete it and log off type of character.
Okay.
And like at first I was kind of like, why, like you're this bigger artist, like at least in the local circles, like you're really well known, like really large, and why would you hinder yourself by not doing all the TikTok stuff, all this kind of thing? And he's like, it takes away pieces of your soul a little bit, you know what I mean, as far as having to spend too much time on it.
But if you spend the time now, you might not have to spend the time later.
Yes.
Right?
But if you get yourself into a habit of every single day.
Yeah.
I'm not saying every single day, but I'm saying as far as you have to still respect your own time. I don't think things are going to fall off if you post maybe 3 times a week instead of like 17. I don't know.
Yeah.
No, but also at the same time, that's me also saying I respect so heavily, because I went through a huge social media trying to do it, and it's like
it's a lot of work.
It is a lot of work.
Yeah.
It is a lot of work.
It's all trial and error. Okay, well, it seems like you have your future all planned out.
Oh yes.
You're just vibing. No more live shows for you after that?
No more live shows at the second. I've passed up a few opportunities recently to play. And that's not because I don't love playing live shows. I love it. I love the energy of people. I love everyone just being completely buck wild and enjoying. Like I go to shows and people would know my lyrics, and that's crazy to me. But recently with school, it's literally from like 10 a.m. until like 7:10.
Yeah,
a lot of days, and so I love that type of thing. But I really right now want to focus on getting the schooling done and just get it at the same time as. Every second that I'm not doing that, I'm writing music, and I'm in my little studio space. But
you're compiling repertoire potentially for later.
I've got this folder on my desktop called The Vault, And every single time I make a project, I bounce it and put it into the vault. I think that's what everyone should be doing.
Have you read The War of Art?
I haven't.
It's they talk about that, and that's why I was like, oh, it sounds like you sound like the War of Art guy.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Prince does that.
Oh, okay.
Or did that. Rest in peace.
Interesting.
He's not alive.
Yeah. He's not alive.
A big part. Oh, I don't know. But I think a big part of bringing people out is being like proving that you got something new, something that's exciting, not something that they're gonna expect.
Yeah. Yeah, like you have a niche or something. You have something special about your show.
And decorate the venue a little bit.
Yeah.
Like show up
With
3
a
hours,
vibe.
4 hours early, just making it feel like this is a celebration. This is the most exciting thing that this place has seen in a long time, because we're here. We're the most exciting people. We care about what we do. And
well, and then you're credible for your future events.
Oh, absolutely.
You
Every
know?
single event you do is a marketing for the next venue.
Yeah.
For sure.
When you're creating these posters and you're making marketing materials, are you coordinating with the show artists to post on their social media?
And sometimes it can be a little bit of a battle.
Yeah.
Like people will be like, oh, like I'll make a poster and like, I already made a poster, and then they'll show me and it's like, let's use my poster, bro. And it's like something like that.
Yeah. But you want the branding to be consistent, you know?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Getting everyone to send in a promo picture is very important. And Canva is a very good app to be making this stuff
Canva.
on. Yeah, Canva.
I'm living on Canva.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Got that professional version.
Yeah.
You know?
Did you find, like, what was the biggest difficulty working with artists? Because you're coordinating not only your own social media and your own stuff, you're now coordinating for other people's social medias. Do you know what I mean?
Totally. All artists aren't built the same, you know what I mean? Like, as far as marketing goes, there's some people like my man Lukeman who like posts all the time. They're fantastic with that stuff. And then there's other people who just like, they just chill. They give zero thought to it, and then they just show up. And that's not always the greatest thing to do.
Yeah.
I think being able to suss out someone's social media beforehand is very important. Or even like in the little contract where you're like, hey, this is what we're expecting. Be like, hey, if you could post at least 4 times or even 2 times. I don't know, like that type of thing. Post on your story every day or something like that.
Yeah.
With this poster.
How involved are you other than just sending them poster with their social media?
I'm always posting on my feeds when I'm doing it. At the same time as every single day texting at least like 10 people and then asking them to also tell people, being like, hey, don't want to be annoying. You're awesome. But I got the show coming up. Do you think you could show up? Are you going to be in town that day? Do you know anyone who might be in town? Like, let them know. These are the artists I've got going on. A lot of the time, it'll fall on deaf ears because no one wants to hear that shit. Real talk. Like, it's so annoying to get those kind of texts. But at the same time, if you've got a good rapport and you say it in a nice way.
You're like, that's Van. You know?
Like having that copy paste, like, yo, show coming up, you know, like that's annoying. But being like, hey, my friend Haley, did you know you're cool? By the way, don't want to be annoying, but I got this thing coming up. That type of thing, you know what I mean?
I feel like that's a huge part of approaching anybody, like the artists, when you don't start off by saying, hey, I need this thing from you. Hey, I love your music. You know, I love what you do. How would you feel about this thing, maybe?
Totally. Like, your posts look really cool. Like, oh, that one song that you did with this guy was really sick.
Yeah, it makes a big difference. And that's the other thing about when I'm like, you're just like, it sounds kind of like, I'm like, what are you doing with these venues? You make it seem like such an easy process, and then you're throwing out that there's like contracts and stuff, right? Like, you're creating contracts for the artists that are in the show.
And it's not like it's like a sign here on the dotted line at this date. It's more like, here's even like a DM, like, here's what we're thinking. This is what it's outlined. Because a lot of the time, if you don't do that kind of thing, they're going to come up to you afterwards and be like, all right, like, where is it at? Like, are you paying me 100% of the show money? Like, isn't this what we're doing? And it's like, no.
Have you had that happen?
I've had situations where
you've learned through your horror.
Definitely. I've definitely had a situation or two where it's just like, where is it at? Like, what are we doing here? It's like, oh, well, we're splitting up. It's like, just this? And it's like, yeah, well, I mean, we made this much and you didn't even tell anyone about it, but that's cool.
That's
like,
what I mean.
So that's how much we made, and this is what we're splitting up. So it's very important to set expectations ahead of time.
It's interesting that you're looking through people's social media presence before deciding whether or not you want to be involved with them. Like, they might have great music, they might have, but if they're not active, you might not reach out to them.
And making sure that you even love their music, because I think it's so important. Like, just having anyone come in and do a show, even if they got a great social media presence, sometimes you listen to their music and you're like
not for me.
I respect my audience so much that I wouldn't want to do this to them, you know?
Yeah. Well, also I think that you being passionate about the artists that you're putting on makes you want to put more work into it. Makes it more sincere when you're like, hey, this show's actually going to be sick.
Yeah.
You know, like, I really love these artists. I'm really excited to see them. Please come, you know, you'll have fun, because I'm going to have fun.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. Your music video, as well as your website, everything else, like, it's very professional. Like, you have an air of, it's all quality stuff.
I appreciate that.
And as you're doing it, you're like, we're on a budget. Is it the same thing? Like, you know people that kind of helped you out? Or how did you manage to put that together?
I was really lucky. I got a factor grant.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, which I was really grateful for.
This is what I mean, hidden nuggets of wisdom, knowledge. Like,
I'm really grateful for that. And I had the videographer who worked on Forrest Gumption's music videos. Yeah, he was fantastic. And it was just one of those situations where it's like, got this kind of budget. Do you think this is something you can work around? And negotiating's key. Yeah.
That's crazy. You got a factor grant for that. Yeah. What did you apply for? Like, what was the grant specifically?
It was like an artist development grant.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. And
how did you figure that out?
It's just who you know. Like, I'm friends with this guy named Hoxley Workman. He's this fantastic musician, and his wife is a manager. Oh, okay. And we're at the dinner table one day, and she's like, "Why haven't you applied for a grant yet?" I'm like, I don't know. I didn't even know grants existed like that. And went through all the process of doing it and got the call. And they're like, yeah, we love what you're doing. Like, here's... Wow. Yeah, and I was really grateful for that.
Did you fill it out yourself, or did you have help with it?
I had help with that.
Yeah, that's fair. It's a huge process.
Totally. Like, getting someone, like a grant writer, or at least someone who's
done it.
A little bit more technically savvy, because it is very difficult. It's very processy.
They want you to answer a specific way, you know. I think that's part of it. Like, you have to, they're asking for very specific answers,
and of course, like, being honest, like, about everything you're doing. But as far as like exactly wording, it's like it's a government ordeal.
What are you going to give them if they give you this money? Like, what are they going to, they're investing in you, kind of thing.
They're investing in you. You want to show that you're professional. You're not just some dude like smoking weed and chilling in the basement type of thing. You're someone who's dedicated, and you're about your craft.
Yeah, you're contributing to the music industry in Canada, you know, and it's going to contribute to your career in the future.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Wow, that's crazy. You got a grant. That's awesome.
Thank you, Government of Canada.
Sponsored by Factor.
Sponsored.
Yeah. What do you think helped the most with that grant? Like, you had assets, obviously, to give them. It wasn't like you're like, I'm brand new to this.
I'd already done a music video before, and I had that under my belt, as well as I've been doing so many shows. Like, I think I've done over 60 shows. Wow. And I was just able to put that down. I was able to show my resume. I was able to show some of the songs that I've made. Yeah. And I've been working with this producer named Big Germ, and he did all the mixing on my stuff. And he is another level of mixing. He's worked with Mac Miller and Wiz Khalifa, and being able to be like, hey, I have this connection. I got mastered by Peter Moore. Rest in peace. He's worked on Our Lady Peace and other many huge bands. He's done Bob Dylan, like huge master. When I think about him, I get sad because he was so sweet to me.
Yeah, man, that's what I mean though. I think it's the community thing, right? Where it's like you're working with your friends. Like, we talk about the networking thing, but it's really like people wanting to help people and believing in what you're doing. And you know, thanks for checking us out. This is Van Veecock, Van the Man, artist, producer, future
I'm Van the Man,
ruler of the music sphere. Check him out.
Thank you.
Oh, I don't know. Wait. Wait, what are we doing? Like, you look in your
Cause I got this feeling. But you're my baby, my favorite lady.